Every company is different. So I hate it when people come to me and say, hey, Michael, you know what is this metric and what should it be? The answer I have for that is always, well, I don't know. It's dependent on your company, it's dependent on your goal and how you want to treat your employees and so on and so forth.
How does a CEO evaluate the productivity without micromanaging employees?
Traditionally, for a service company like an agency or anything like that, they will want to do billable hours, utilization rate, all that. I don't particularly like that, just because again, what we talked about, all hours are not created equal. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the number one metrics that I absolutely love to measure productivity. The metric is called L.E.R, labor efficiency ratio, or as I like to call it, labor effectiveness ratio. It's how effective your dollar spent on labor. So for example, if today I'm paying you $20,000, I expect a certain level of production. If I pay you $50,000 and you're doing the same work, I expect more than double, and so on and so forth. So again, around that job. So what is an L.E.R? L.E.R essentially, it's a very easy mathematical. You can check this out. It's the dollar that I paid to you as a service employee and the dollar that you generate. So if I pay you $1 in salary, how much work are you able to deliver? Is it $2? Is it $3? Is it $4? So it's a very basic math, and all I'm trying to measure, and I can benchmark this, right? Because go back to what we're talking about. If I pay you 20 grand, I expect 60 grand of value being created. If I pay a second person 30 grand, I might expect 90. Now, if I'm paying them 30 and they're generating less value than you, I might need to give you a raise, or I might need to fire them or coach them and so on and so forth. So that is what an L.E.R. All an L.E.R is just the dollar that I pay you compared to the dollar that you're generating for me. What is the expectation for L.E.R, right? Now, again, every company is different. So I hate it when people come to me and say, hey, Michael, you know what is this metric and what should it be? The answer I have for that is always, well, I don't know. It's dependent on your company, it's dependent on your goal and how you want to treat your employees and so on and so forth. So many things. So I always ask them, compare to yourself, don't compare to others. With that said, what is a general number that I see? Most service companies that I see runs at an L.E.R of at least 3. So every dollar that I pay, I get $3. Okay, every dollar that I pay in direct labor, I get at least $3. I've seen some amazing companies that the number is way higher, 5, 6, 7. The best company I've seen is that every dollar that they pay for labor, they're generating $8 in service revenue. But that's not the norm. So $3 is okay, $4 is pretty good, $5 is great. At least that's what I've seen in the last 13 years working with hundreds and hundreds of digital agencies or consulting firms or law firms. I think that's a general range that you can expect to keep to kind of see where you're standing. What happens when you outsource a lot of these work overseas or somewhere else, right? Because again, if today you are an agency out in New York City and you're outsourcing a lot of these work out in UK or out to the Philippines or wherever, so on and so forth, the exchange rate plays a factor. So for example, in the last year, US dollar have been inflating like crazy, and then our value have been decreasing like crazy compared to other currencies. So if you're looking at the pure numbers itself, even though your overseas labor didn't get a salary increase, our dollars are worth less. And as our dollars are worth less, the exchange rate, you can see that their L.E.R keeps decreasing because their cost keeps increasing because we're paying in US dollars and they're worth less. So that skews with our analysis of how effective or how efficient our labor force is. So the way to do that is, this is what I always suggest. You need to think about that industry from a cost of living perspective and not from an exchange rate perspective, okay? What do I mean by that? If today you hire people, let's say in China, and the normal salary is $1,000 US or $2,000 US. The question that I will always have is, what is the exchange rate? If you were to hire that same person with that same skill set, what would it cost you in the US? And that's the number, that's the exchange rate that you will have to build into your financial model to normalize it. So that way, if their salaries are not increasing, even while the exchange rate are increasing and decreasing, you don't get skewed because of the exchange rate. And this is way harder than normal accounting and way more in debt. But again, this is what we do from a financial perspective, just to stay on top of it, just so that there's no crazy misinformation being communicated.